The final example here deals with secant. And the additional step that we're going to have in this one is we're going to need to convert secant once we have everything by itself. We want that secant to be by itself. So here what we're going to do is we're going to add 9 to the other side and then divide by 5. So then we get secant squared of x is equal to positive 9/5. Now before we take the square root, let's get rid of that secant and convert to cosine. We know secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so we can convert this to the cosine squared of x, and then we'll flip the fraction over there. We'll take the square root to both sides, so then the cosine of x is going to be plus or minus the square root of 5 over 3. That's really the square root of 5 over the square root of 9, and we know the square root of 9 is 3. Then we'll take the arc cosine to both sides. So x is going to be the arc cosine of plus or minus square root of 5 over 3. So just as we had at the top here, since we end up with this plus or minus, we're going to set up 2 separate equations, and we're going to have 4 reference triangles that we come up with. So the first one is going to be x equals the arc cosine of square root of 5 over 3, and x equals the arc cosine of negative square root of 5. Oops, square root's up there and then not down there. Square root of 5 over 3. For each of these, as we said, we're going to create a reference triangle. And since we're in radians, let's just label our sides in terms of radians. We've got 0. This is pi over 2, which is about 1.57. Here's pi, which is about 3.14. And here's 3 pi over 2, which is about 4.71. So we'll do that on all those sides there. And we'll start by taking the arc cosine of square root of 5 divided by 3. And you can see right there 0.7297. That's going to be 0.73. So here with this first one, x is equal to 0.73. We know cosine here is positive, so we're going to be in the first quadrant with the reference triangle and the fourth quadrant. So there's a 0.73, there's a 0.73. And we also know here that's 2 pi, which is 6.28. So if we do a 6.28, we're going to subtract that since we're going down. So I get 5.55. So x equals 5.55. And once again, since these are all solutions, we need to put our plus 2 pi n in the back for each of those. My second problem right there is the arc cosine of negative square root of 5 over 3. So we'll do negative square root of 5 divided by 3. And I see 2.41. I know our cosine is going to be negative in the second and the third quadrant. So my first answer here is going to be 2.41. Now I want to be careful with how I draw this. 2.41, that's larger than 90 degrees because we know 90 degrees is pi over 2, which is about 1.57. These in here are clearly less than 90 degrees. So I can't just say it's going to be 2.41 in there. Remember this first, all these answers are going from the x-axis to the hypotenuse. So really what we've got right here, that is the 2.41 that we're dealing with. So what is the actual angle of our reference triangle? Well, we know right there that 180 is 3.14. And if we've already used 2.41, that means inside is going to be 0.73. And if the inside there is 0.73, we also have down here as being 0.73. So then x is going to be 3.14, and then we're a 0.73 past that. So really, we're at 3.87. And for each of these, since we're looking for all solutions still, we want to put that plus 2 pi n in the back.